The video that you are about to watch is an excerpt of the original. After my long efforts in dealing with YouTube's copyright management system, I had to give up. I haven't given up my projects though. And while we cannot publish the entire video here due to the imminent danger of having the channel closed down, you can still enjoy excerpts which we've carefully chosen in order to make this video meaningful, fun, and educational. If you want to watch the complete video, including the sound of the music from the original recording, as well as special edition videos which will never be published here on YouTube due to the same copyright issues, and the Beatles 150 series, as well as other series and courses, you're welcome to visit my Ko-fi or Patreon page. I hope you enjoy this video. Hi everyone. Would you believe it? It's a cold and snowy evening here in Nashville. Kind of unusual for this part of Tennessee. But I have to do my recording of the Beatles 150 series. I guess this is number 35 coming up tonight. So this one is entitled, I Don't Want to Spoil the Party. And I have some things to read about it here, so let's find out. The genre is beat country. Another country one. Quote, "That was a very personal one of mine," Lennon said in an interview in 1974. "In the early days, I wrote less material than Paul because he was more competent on guitar than I. He taught me quite a lot of guitar, really." According to the Encyclopedia of Country Music, this must be really country, the song is an early example of country rock, anticipating the Byrds' work in that style. I guess I have seen some recommendations on the channel for me to explore something of the Byrds, and I haven't done it yet. Funny little detail, William Byrd is a composer from the Shakespearean era, born back in the 1500s, and he's best known for developing the madrigal style. Anyway, I'm sure this is not that Byrd, or probably not a relation. But anyway, I do need to check out the Byrds at some point. Rosanne Cash covered the song for her hits 1979 to 1989 compilation, and her version went to number 1 on Billboard's Hot Country Songs chart in 1989. This does sound like it's really pushing towards the country side of things. It was also Cash's last number 1 hit to date, and is the only Lennon-McCartney song to top the country chart. Well, this is going to be interesting. Let's see how it sounds. Yeah, country. Maybe even a little bit of banjo feel in there. Kind of cute. It even kind of fits into the stereotypical country music topic, something about the girl isn't quite going right. Although it's not really so down as we like to poke fun at country music being. And don't misunderstand me to say that country music is always, but you know, we always joke about country music being, I've lost my girl, my truck broke down, and you know, that sort of thing. Well, let's go back through and listen to it, break it down, pull it apart, notice some little details, and see what we find. I like this introduction. You know what I like most about it? Is this little guitar line here, the melody, which is really singable. Bum, dum, bum, 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 dum, bum, bum. Hopefully that was right. But it sticks in the ear, and it's almost as if it could be part of the song. I didn't hear it anywhere. I'm going to listen this time through and see if I heard it show up anywhere in the verse chorus, whatever part of the song itself. But it's nice to have that, since the rhythm guitar is doing this little strum, strummy, strum, 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 strummy, strum, strum business. It makes it extra special. This intro, even though, okay, I did say it was kind of country-ish, really country-ish, but at the same time, it's really Beatlesy. And I guess if I had to choose whether to say this is a Beatles song or a country song, and I couldn't put them both together, I would certainly choose to put it in the Beatles song category. Maybe it's just instinct, maybe it's guessing, maybe it's just the way I feel about it, but that's how it feels to me, even though it really has this country-ish vibe to it. So this opening is one of the things that has the special little detail touch of something that I wouldn't expect in a country music song. Is this very nice opening, which is different from the rest of the song. Or at least, I think it's different. As I said, I'll be listening for it. I don't want to spoil the party, so I'll go. And tending towards the countryside, he harmonized a fair bit of that with the thirds. Not all, though. So again, well, what if I tried to harmonize this all with thirds? Let's see how this goes. It could be done. It's going to start here. Yeah, that's how it goes. I guess that's how it would be kind of in a classic country music. But instead, he starts off with a few thirds. Does he? Let me just double check here. I'm looking at my score and then I'm listening to what he's singing. Let's see. I don't want to spoil the party, so I'll go. And tending towards the countryside, he harmonized a fair bit of that with the thirds. Not all, though. So again, well, what if I tried to harmonize this all with thirds? Let's see how this goes. It could be done. It's going to start here. Yeah, that's how it goes. I guess that's how it would be kind of in a classic country music. But instead, he starts off with a few thirds. Does he? Let me just double check here. I'm looking at my score and then I'm listening to what he's singing. Let's see. There are a few more thirds than what's written in the score, but still. Something like that. So it's not quite the kind of predictable thirds harmonization that when I walk into a mechanic shop or some other place where country music is running in the background. This, as I said, has enough of the Beatles style tweaks that even though it gives this country vibe and we're bouncing along to this sweet sound, which, by the way, this song is really not modal. It's very conventionally major scale based, which is perhaps one of the things that makes it more easily sound country, because I don't think that I've ever heard country music really dig into the modes and complex harmonies like the rock music genre has shown me it likes to do.
A disappointment.
Is ooh, that's a Beatles fingerprint. That's their signature. Some oohs or ahs or yeah, 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 or although I haven't heard so many yeah, yeahs lately, but something like that in the background, a little bit of a chorus effect in the background.
There's nothing for me
That was an interesting little twangy note. Ding, right there.
while I'm gone. Please let me.
A little bit dissonant there. So we don't just sit on dum, bum, 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 ding. Little bit different chord feeling there, and makes it just a little bit more spicy. And I guess I would also say that, again, I'm being very stereotypical here, but stereotypes, you know, they kind of come from somewhere. And the stereotypical joke about country music is that it's all built off of the 1, 4, and 5 chord, and that's it. And clearly, this harmonic sequence and the chords here are much more complex than at least your stereotypical country song. So again, it's Beatles side. That's where I'm going with this. There's so much happening right here, actually, that I like and I enjoy. First of all, Ringo's added something chink, chinky, chink, chinky, chink, chink, which is different from everything else before. And we had this rollicking rhythm, da da dum ba da da dee 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 dee, da da dum da 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 da, and we're kind of falling into it and chunking along with it, and everybody's right on. Okay, there's some oohs to smooth it out a little bit, but then we get to this section, and not only is the percussion different, but what happens in the melody, the pacing of it, it suddenly changes. I still love her. Well, that does several things. First of all, it emphasizes that for us. I still love her. It doesn't matter. She didn't show up. Okay, I'm sad. I'm disappointed. I'm really disappointed because I'm leaving the party because I just can't keep my appearance cheerful enough for the company. But I still love her. You know, come to think of it, even though these lyrics might tend a bit towards you could sort of class them as the country topics, I'm going to put them in the Beatles camp as well. And here's why. They're much more, they leave a lot of room for imagination. They're really quite open to interpretation. There's enough here for us to understand the emotional content of the song, the disappointment, the kind of saying, I don't care, but really I care. It's just, you know, I don't care, I'm leaving. But the truth is, I care. So we get the emotional message, and it's all about the emotional message. It's not telling a down and out sad story of I lost my girl. We don't even know if this was his girl. Was it just somebody he had a crush on and he wanted to see at the party? We don't know. Was it a date they were meant to meet at the party and she stood him up? We don't know. There's a lot of room here to figure out, how am I going to interpret this? And that's a lot more than most country music songs. I'm being careful not to say all country music songs, because the truth is I'm no expert in country music. I don't know the repertoire. I just know that it is a background sound in this part of the world here that I'm familiar with in that context. But this is, there's some artistic merit to the expression here.
It topped the chart.
Well, it
The
did.
country music chart.
Yes, it did, but probably because it's a bit more colorful and interesting than run-of-the-mill. And this here, where it says, I still love her. What if we had heard something like, da-dum-bum-bum-bum-bum-bum, I still love her, da-da-dum-bum-bum-bum-bum, I still love her. That would, we would lose the opportunity. It's boring, it's dull, it doesn't have anything special about it. But we're set up with the change in the percussive department, and then on top of that, we have this long drawn out, I still love her. And then we go back to the cheery da da dum bum 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 bum. And really, this is kind of a climactic moment here, because you see how high the pitch is pushing. We're going up to this A, and I don't think I've seen us go this high so far. Yeah. So it's an interesting, that's something that I see the Beatles do. They always like to find these cross relations. A few videos ago, I talked about the technical term cross relation, in which two chords have a note that disagrees and really clashes. One sharp, one natural, or one flat, one natural. But we could expand that idea, cross relation, and think about, okay, the lyrical content is kind of dejected, disappointed at least, deeply disappointed. But the music is so upbeat and cheery. There's this clash. Or I've talked about how quite a few of the songs have had this major-minor clash. Or, well, I guess I've mentioned several different things along the way. Harmonic clashes. Now we have content clashes. I guess I'm going to lump those all in a broad basket of cross-relation territory. And the reason is because I noticed the Beatles like these kind of cross-relational elements. Something that doesn't quite sit comfortably in the arrangement. That doesn't mean it's awkward or it's uncomfortable. It just means that it keeps us awake. It keeps us paying attention. It sparks our interest. It keeps us on the edge of our seats, or it enlivens the scenario in such a way that we enjoy it more. It's much more than a run-of-the-mill pop song that is yet one more of the same old stuff.
I still
Kind of like the way that guitar is in there, coming up with these little bum 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 bum, and almost little interjections, but it's not really the answering voice. It's just little sparklers, little moments where in the resting places of the voice, you hear the guitar do something that kind of keeps it going and enlivens it in that moment.
don't wanna spoil the parties.
You notice how it takes the melodic material, the start, da-da-dum, ba-dum-bum, and uses that as a launching point, but it doesn't really quite quote it entirely all the way through. It starts going somewhere else and developing something different. It has this kind of it's not really a contrast, but it's an added, I guess I would say, added perspective to what's been said musically. It's as if someone is telling a story and then someone else comes in with a bit of fresh information. And musically, we've heard this melody, we've heard the harmonies, and now the guitar is coming in with a bit of fresh information to add. Not really contrast, not really change, but simply add and enhance the, we could say, musical story. I didn't hear that melody anywhere else in the song. It's only at the beginning and the end. And that reminds me of another one I did recently, which was it 8 Days a Week? That had that bum, 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 bum. That was only at the beginning and only at the end. In other words, it was not drawn from the song as a sort of quotation to get us into it. It was a completely separate, different bit of musical material. And it's a bit like, should we say, framing a picture, framing a piece of artwork, where you have the picture, the piece of artwork in the center, but the frame around it is a different material. It's a contrast, or it can be very simple or very elaborate, but it is not part of the image itself. It's meant to set up and enhance it. However, musically it gets a bit more interesting, because both of these frames, we could say, have really valid substantive musical content in themselves that could have been or could still be developed into its own piece of art musically. It's an interesting idea to explore. You know, if any of you like to play around with the Beatles music, play your own little arrangements, covers, whatever you want to call them, I wonder if any of you would like to try taking just the intro material to one of these two songs and see if you can use it as the musical substance to branch into a different song of your own creation, kind of borrowing inspiration, and yet it's not a Beatles cover because it's not this song. It'd be a fun little game to play, wouldn't it? Well, that was a fun little piece of music, and I guess you can kind of guess by now that I'm not a fan of country music. Maybe I've mentioned that once or twice before in this journey. Anyway, I've heard one or two country songs which sounded quite nice for what they are, but I'm not a fan of country music. Having said that, I enjoyed this piece of music, which you could probably tell. Why? Because it was interesting. It was dynamic. It had more to it than what I associate with being country music. And I guess that is probably why it topped the charts, because it's country-ish enough that it could work as a country piece, but it's really country rock. And I can feel that, I can hear that. And the rock element, or especially the Beatles element, makes an enormous difference in the final product. And it sounds great, it's fun, it's cute, it's lively. It also has the dejected, sad, melancholy element, which is the, as I said, the cross relation in this piece of music. So, having read that it topped the country charts, it makes sense. At the same time, It's truly Beatles. And it belongs with the Beatles. I'll see you soon.